How Stoicism teaches you to love freely and fearlessly. Love, a word we throw around effortlessly. A concept we chase, often desperately. A force that builds and destroys, elevates and humiliates. We say we want it. We fear losing it. We let it define us, consume us, break us. But what if we've been doing it wrong all along? What if love, true love, has nothing to do with possession? The ancient Stoics saw love not as something to clutch tightly in trembling hands but as something to give freely, fearlessly. They believed love is not a transaction, not a contract, not a prison. It is not something we demand, nor something we should be afraid to lose. Instead, they saw love as an extension of our character, an act of pure will, a force of nature flowing through us, only truly meaningful when it is given without expectation, without attachment, without fear. But how can we do this? How can we love in a way that is powerful yet untamed, deep yet unshaken, intense yet unafraid? Let's begin. Imagine you're in love. Maybe you are right now. Maybe you remember the feeling, the spark, the longing, the sheer joy of being seen. But with that love comes a creeping fear. What if they leave? What if I'm not enough? What if this doesn't last? That fear, the Stoics believed, is what corrupts love at its core. Because it turns love into something external, something dependent on others, something fragile, something that can be taken away. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "When you are delighted with anything, be not carried away by the appearance, but say, 'It is beloved, but it is mortal.'" Think about that. Every love, no matter how passionate, no matter how perfect, is mortal. Every relationship will end, either in separation or in death. This is not pessimism, it is reality. And yet, we fight it, we cling, we obsess, we let fear taint the beauty of love itself. But what if, instead, we embraced the temporary nature of love? What if we loved fully, knowing that it may not last forever, and in that acceptance, found a love purer, freer, stronger than we ever imagined? Because here's the paradox: the more we try to control love, the more we suffocate it. The more we try to possess another person, the more we push them away, the more we fear loss, the more we destroy the very thing we wish to keep. But if we let go, if we accept love's impermanence, if we focus not on keeping love but on being loving, then suddenly, love is no longer something we can lose. It is something we are. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it, and you have the power to revoke that judgment at any moment." Apply this to love. What if heartbreak is not the loss of love itself, but simply the story we tell ourselves about it? What if rejection, betrayal, or even death do not take love away, because love was never something outside of us in the first place? Now, let's test this. Think of someone you have loved deeply. Maybe they are still in your life. Maybe they are gone. Maybe they hurt you. Maybe they change. But ask yourself this: did their presence create love? Or was love something you gave? Something you felt? Something within you? If love comes from within you, then no one can take it away. And if no one can take it away, then why should we fear? But we do fear. We fear vulnerability. We fear being the one who loves more. We fear rejection, abandonment, disappointment. Seneca had an answer for this. "He who is brave is free." The greatest courage, he argued, is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to act despite it. And in love, the bravest thing we can do is love without needing to control the outcome. To give, not because we expect something in return, but because giving love is, in itself, an act of strength. So why do we fail? Why do we keep falling into the trap of fear, insecurity, and attachment? Because we confuse love with ownership. We think, "I love you, therefore you must love me back." We think, "I love you, therefore you should stay." We think, "I love you, therefore you should make me happy." But these are not statements of love. These are statements of control. True Stoic love says, "I love you, therefore I let you be free. I love you, therefore I accept what is, rather than demand what is not." I love you, therefore I focus on who I am, rather than what you should be. This is terrifying. Because it means giving up control. It means accepting that the person we love may change, may leave, may never return our love in the way we wish they would. It means embracing uncertainty, vulnerability, and impermanence. But in that surrender, we find something incredible. Freedom. A love that is not shackled by expectation. A love that does not shrink in the face of loss. A love that is fearless. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about suffering. We suffer in love not because of love itself, but because of our attachments to outcomes. We want them to love us back. We want them to stay. We want them to fulfill our needs, our dreams, our expectations. And when reality does not align with these desires, we suffer. But here's what the Stoics knew. Suffering is not caused by what happens to us. Suffering is caused by how we interpret what happens to us. The person who is left behind can either say, "This is proof that I was never enough," or, "This is proof that love is a gift, not a guarantee." The person who is betrayed can either say, "I was a fool to love," or, "I was brave to love, and I will love again." The person who loses someone they love to death can either say, "My life is over without them," or, "Their love will always be a part of me." Do you see the difference? One path leads to despair, the other leads to strength. And strength, the Stoics believed, is what makes love truly beautiful. Because love should not weaken us. Love should empower us. Love should be an expression of our highest selves, not a desperate grasp at happiness. This does not mean we love less. It means we love more, without fear, without chains, without illusion. It means we love fully in the present moment, rather than constantly fearing the future. It means we love with open hands, rather than clenched fists. It means we love as the Stoics did, boldly, wisely, and with the understanding that true love is not something we demand from others. It is something we cultivate within ourselves. So ask yourself, if you were to love completely and fearlessly, with no expectation, no possession, no demand, how would that change you? Would you finally be free? The courage to love without attachment. Most of us say we want love, but what we truly seek is security. We don't just want someone to love, we want someone who will stay. Someone who will make us feel whole. Someone who will guarantee that we will never feel alone again. But let's ask ourselves a difficult question. Is that love? Or is that fear disguised as love? Because love, real love, is not about certainty. It is not about clinging to another person like a lifeboat in a storm. It is not about making them responsible for our happiness, nor about making ourselves the center of their world. Love is about giving. Fear is about keeping. Love is about expansion. Fear is about control. And here's the hardest truth. The more we try to hold on to love, the more we push it away. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology did. Epictetus taught that nothing external, no person, no event, no circumstance, truly belongs to us. The only thing we own, the only thing we can control, is ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, our responses. This means that even in love, we own nothing, not the person we adore, not their feelings, not their future. We do not own their loyalty, nor their presence, nor their promises. This realization is terrifying at first, but it is also the key to loving without fear. Because if we do not own love, we cannot lose love. We can only experience it. Think about that. What if love is not something we possess, but something we participate in? What if love is like a river, flowing freely, touching us, nourishing us, and then moving on, not because it was taken from us, but because that is its nature? Wouldn't we be fools to try to trap the river in a glass and call it ours? Wouldn't it be wiser to stand in the water, to let it flow over us, to be grateful for every moment we get to feel its current? Seneca wrote, He who fears death will never act as a man who is alive. Now apply that to love. He who fears loss will never love as a man who is free. So the question is, do we want love, or do we want control? Because we cannot have both. Let's talk about attachment. It's easy to believe that love and attachment are the same thing. After all, isn't attachment natural? Isn't it human? Yes, but that doesn't mean it's wise. Imagine this. You hold a bird in your hands. You love it, you want it to stay with you. But you're afraid. What if it flies away? What if you lose it? So you close your fingers around it, tighten your grip, hold it so securely that it cannot escape. But in doing so, you crush it. This is what we do with love. We grasp, we cling, we demand, we turn love into an expectation, into an obligation, into a possession. And in doing so, we kill it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that everything in life is borrowed. Not just love, but everything, our health, our wealth, our friendships, even our own lives. Nothing is permanent, nothing is guaranteed. And yet, we act as if love is the one exception. We believe that once we have it, we are entitled to keep it. But what if we approached love with a different mindset? What if we saw every moment of love as a gift, rather than a right? What if we treated love the way we treat a beautiful sunset, something to be experienced fully in the present, rather than something to hold on to, something to own? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." This is the key to loving freely. It is the ability to say, "I love you, not because you are mine, but because I am capable of love. I love you, not because you complete me, but because I choose to share my completeness with you. I love you, not because I need you, but because loving is part of who I am." When we love like this, we love without fear. Because we no longer need love to give us something. We are already whole. We are already enough. And here's the great irony. When we stop clinging to love, love stays. When we stop demanding love, love deepens. When we stop trying to own love, love becomes limitless. Because true love is never a prison. It is a gift, and gifts must be given freely. But what about heartbreak? Even if we love without attachment, without expectation, without fear, won't we still feel pain when love ends? Yes, of course. The Stoics never denied pain. They never preached emotional numbness. What they did teach was that pain is a part of life. But suffering is a choice. When we lose someone we love, whether to distance, to time, to death, we will feel sorrow. That is natural. That is human. But suffering? Suffering comes when we resist reality. When we tell ourselves, "This should not have happened. This was not supposed to end. I cannot accept this." Suffering is the gap between reality and our expectations. But if we embrace impermanence, if we accept that love, like all things, comes and goes, then we feel the pain. But we do not suffer. We grieve, but we are not destroyed. Because we understand that love is not something we ever truly lose. The time we spent with them was real. The love we felt was real. And that love, that experience, will always be a part of us. Nothing can take that away. Not time. Not distance. Not even death. Seneca wrote, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Life itself is fleeting. Everything we love will one day be gone. And yet, life is still beautiful. Because beauty is found not in permanence, but in presence. In living fully. In loving completely. In accepting reality as it is. So if love is fleeting, should we fear it? Should we avoid it? Should we guard our hearts so that we never have to feel pain? No, that would be the greatest mistake of all. Because to love is to be alive. And to love without fear, that is true freedom. So ask yourself, are you willing to love in a way that is bold, fearless, unattached? Are you willing to embrace love as an experience, rather than a possession? Are you willing to love, not because you need something in return, but because love itself is an act of strength? Because if you are, you will never fear love again. You will only ever feel its power. The art of loving like a Stoic, strength, serenity, and ultimate freedom. You are here because you want to understand how to love freely, fearlessly, without the burden of attachment, without the agony of loss, without the chains of insecurity. You are here because you know, deep down, that love is meant to be expansive, not restrictive, liberating, not suffocating. And yet, we still struggle, we still hesitate, we still find ourselves clinging, fearing, expecting. Why? Because we are human. Because our instincts tell us to grasp tightly what we cherish. Because we have been taught to equate love with possession, with dependence, with a sense of certainty that love itself never promises. But the Stoics knew something most people don't. They knew that love is not something you find. Love is not something you receive. Love is not even something that is given to you. Love is something you are. It is not in the hands of others. It is not something the world grants you. It is not something that can be stolen, lost, or taken away. Love is an internal force. And because it comes from within you, it can never truly be lost. Let's put this to the test. Imagine the person you love most in this world. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's a friend, a child, a mentor. Now imagine they disappear from your life tomorrow. Not because of anything cruel or unjust, just because that is the nature of life. Would you still love them? Would that love still exist within you, even if they were gone? If the answer is yes, then love was never about them. Love was about you. It always was. This is where most people get love wrong. They think love is something external, something outside of themselves, something that happens to them rather than something they cultivate within themselves. This is why people suffer when love changes, when people leave, when relationships shift. Because they believe love has been taken away. But the Stoics saw love differently. They saw it as an internal state of being, a way of interacting with the world, not a fragile gift that could be lost, but a wellspring that never runs dry. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And this is especially true in love. We fear losing someone before we've even lost them. We fear rejection before we've even been rejected. We fear the end of a relationship before it's even begun. And in doing so, we poison love with anxiety, insecurity, and control. But what if we changed that? What if, instead of fearing loss, we embraced love's impermanence? What if, instead of clinging to love, we let it move freely, without force, without demand, without the need to control its course? What if, instead of trying to keep love, we focused only on being loving? This is where true freedom begins. And this is where the real art of Stoic love reveals itself. Step 1. Master your own heart. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The first mistake people make in love is believing that their happiness depends on someone else. This is an illusion. The moment you place your emotional well-being in someone else's hands, you have lost control. And the moment you lose control, fear sets in. The fear of being left. The fear of being unloved. The fear of being not enough. But what if you took back that power? What if you made your own heart your own responsibility? What if you decided, right now, that your ability to love is a reflection of you, not a response to how others treat you? If you did that, you would never fear love again. Because love would no longer be something you need to receive. It would be something you are. Step 2. Let love flow. Without ownership. Imagine a candle. Its flame does not shrink when it lights another candle. It does not demand that the other candle remain beside it forever. It simply burns, without fear, without expectation, without need. This is how a Stoic loves. They do not try to keep the flame in a glass box, fearing it will blow out. They let it burn. They let it warm. They let it illuminate. And when it is time, they let it go. Ask yourself, do you love in a way that is light and free? Or do you love in a way that is heavy and binding? Because love cannot be owned. And the moment we try to own it, we lose it. Step 3. Accept that love will change, and that's okay. Everything in life changes. Your mind. Your body. Your circumstances. And yes, your love. What was once fiery may become quiet. What was once close may become distant. What was once new may become old. This is not a tragedy. This is life. But most people resist this. They want love to stay the same. They want it to always feel like the beginning. They want it to never waver, never shift, never take a different shape. But that is not how love works. And that is why so many people suffer in love. Because they are clinging to what was, instead of embracing what is. The Stoics taught that change is not something to be feared. It is something to be accepted. So instead of mourning love when it changes, what if we appreciated it for what it was? What if we loved the moment, rather than fearing the future? What if we saw love not as a thing to be kept, but as an experience to be fully lived, moment by moment? If we did that, we would never suffer again. We would only ever feel gratitude. This is the ultimate lesson of Stoic love. Love is not about what you get. Love is not about what you keep. Love is not about what lasts. Love is about who you are. And the freer you love, the stronger you love, the less you fear in love, the more love will flow through your life, endlessly. Because love is not something that comes to you. It is something that comes from you. And that is something no one, not time, not distance, not rejection, not even death, can ever take away. So ask yourself, are you ready to love like this? Are you ready to let go of fear, of control, of attachment? Are you ready to love, not because you need to, but because you choose to? Because if you are, you will never need to chase love again. It will already be within you. Forever. This is how Stoicism teaches you to love freely and fearlessly.